It is Sunday after, it's Easter Sunday afternoon, and you guys are showing your fanboy love, and I dig it. And the panelists are going to dig it too. So, welcome to Justice League versus Young Justice. I will be warming up my moderating purposes for the GOP debate later in the year for this debate. You can catch me in Simi Valley in November. We'll see who's left.
This debate is about real stuff.
Important stuff.
Yeah.
That stuff.
So, before we let's get to what I know you really want. I'm Gary Mariano, your humble moderator. We have the Warner Archive podcasters, Matthew Patterson and D.W. Ferraki.
Yeah.
I know you guys are brutally aware that we have Young Justice on Blu-ray. I know you're aware that we just put out Justice League Unlimited for Warner Archive. There's more fun coming, and let's bring out the people you want to meet.
Yeah.
Let's go from the far side. Producer, creator of Young Justice, one of the great directors out there today in animation, one of the amazing producers out there today in animation, Brandon Vietti. It's funny because I've been on so many Lego panels with Brandon lately that my brain is mushed that way. Gargoyles. Amazing Spider-Man. Spectacular Spider-Man. And Young Justice. Oh, you love him, you can't live without him. Jason Stezak! A man I invite just to laugh with and at, Kari Payton!
What's up, everybody?
The absolute loveliest superhero I've ever known, the wonderful voice of Wonder Woman, Susan Eisenberg.
I'm sorry I didn't hold Jer's card.
In a word, Batman.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman.
And as you can see, he'll sit anywhere he wants.
We can't fix it now.
I'm sitting next to Batman.
Last time Kari will pull his chair out.
Yeah, I'll be right. Yeah, exactly. That's all right. I'll live.
All right, so we. I just want to say Kevin Conrad all day.
Thank you, everybody. This has been great.
So go. I'm going to walk over everybody, so because I know this panel.
Okay, I'm just going to go ahead and say this is freaking me out right now that I'm on stage with Kevin Conroy and Susan Eisenberg. Literally, when I remember being a kid and I walked all the way to the mall because I couldn't drive. I walked to the mall to go see Batman Mask of the Phantasm. it's the greatest origin telling of Batman ever because of one thing that you said, one line that you said to Alfred after you beat up a bunch of guys. You know, you just had a mask on, you beat him up, and but it was like the most vulnerable Bruce Wayne ever was. Alfred was like, you did good, man, you beat those guys up, and you're like, but they weren't scared of me, Alfred. And it was just like, they weren't afraid of me, they weren't scared of me. And it was like, it was like you were shaking your head like, I gotta do something about that. And that's how, and to me, that's like the moment Batman was born. And it's just awesome.
That was a great movie. It's a great movie. It was a great genesis of Batman movie. Yeah, I know. I love that.
Clearly he's Team Justice League, man.
That one was really good too.
So we put together a pretty fun format, a debate, if nothing else. I mean, we like to call this the celebration of two great series with the word justice in their title. But
Versus is in the air.
versus, everybody's using that term versus.
This weekend especially.
So,
I'm pretty sure we lose. Yeah, we advocate. Me and Jason, we were like, okay, it says versus, but please don't hit me, Batman. And for God's sakes, don't hit me, Wonder Woman.
You're spoiling the end of the debate.
So we've set up the debate concept as we picked out topics that both series covered and debating how the series covered them. And along the route, we'll just keep laughing and talking, and Kari will jump in and tell stories, and we'll hear about that he finally learned to drive. And where he drove to. So our first topic is...
Shall we do the opening thing?
Oh, there's an opening thing?
We have an opening credit sequence.
Because,
I didn't see the note.
I don't know.
We're highly skilled audio video technicians.
Because, I was like, oh, I can put together a theme really quick. How hard could this be? I'm only doing video for 4 panels, and here it is. Oh, wait, no! That's our Warner Archive commercial. It's really good. You should love Warner Archive because we put together events like this, and we have it's really fun. Maybe if we have time, we can just do it.
Just so we don't have to play that later. Everybody tell me, who is sponsoring the panel?
WonderCon!
No, I need it loud enough for my boss to hear.
WonderCon!
Good, okay.
Here's 1 minute and 30 seconds. Here we go.
So now, the first topic of the debate.
The first topic of the debate is your parents are only looking out for you.
Hashtag parenting.
Everybody's got clothes. Oh. We have video.
Showing up there.
There. All right, here we go. You just missed the point. Okay, you get it.
I had that. I didn't want to take the chance. As it is, your landing could have destabilized the entire bridge. It didn't, but it could have. We don't yet know the limits of your powers. Well, maybe you could, help me figure that out. Batman's got that covered.
You're in my chair.
Yeah.
Guess I am. Where the devil have you been? I had some stuff to take care of. Enigma's overrated, especially at 3 a.m. You could have called. I made you some soup, but it's cold. Sorry. Didn't mean to worry you. I was worried about Gotham. If Batman's not around, I've got it covered. Right. Better suit up. You should eat something first. Keep up your strength. When I get back, you're a stubborn piece of work, you know that. Just like my old man.
So clearly, Batman is far more skilled at clone parenting than Superman.
I feel like this whole debate is rigged.
It's all
I
about.
wasn't aware that we were going to be putting together video, montages to make our point. Can we come back in like, give me 2 hours and do something on my iMovie?
So how did you get, I mean, when you guys were recording the series, did it dawn on you we are making, we have messages within the thing? I mean, was it apparent to all of you, or was it really?
Yeah, there's subliminal messages in every one of Greg's scripts, so.
If you know Greg at all, you know that there's really not anything that happens in stuff that he writes that he hasn't thought about and meditated upon for longer than most of us have been alive. I mean, the amount of
That just means I'm really old.
You use more hours in the day than anyone.
Yes, exactly.
Greg lives a 23-hour day. It's very impressive.
It's just 20.
I was gonna call you wise, but you old too.
No, and Bruce Timm with our show was, there were always lots of different layers to each script. There was always a lot going on. That's why it appealed to so many different audiences.
Yeah.
When we first went on the air with early shows like Batman the Animated Series, that was a primetime show on Fox before it was moved to daytime. So it always had a big adult audience. There was a big crossover to those shows. And I think that the writers have always kept that in mind. So there's always been a lot of the dynamic of the psychodrama in each character about how their parents affect them, especially with Batman. Their deaths looming over his life. So there are so many layers to these characters and these stories. And that's what makes them interesting to so many different audiences.
Yeah, and Young Justice, it's amazing the breadth of the family dynamic from one character to another. From as you saw with Superboy and with Kid Flash. I mean, there are literally 4 Flashes. Somewhere at some point in time. And not to mention, the rest of the family, and how they deal with each other. You building a family of your own with Artemis, and you talk about Artemis and
Yeah, her family is
Yeah.
she wants to keep a secret. So.
those Thanksgivings are weird.
Yeah. Because they killed their own turkeys.
Exactly. But like I never asked Greg actually, just how much of that came from you just being a father? Was it something that came out of your experience, or was it just reading all of the comics and that was a common thread that you found?
Well, for starters, I want to say that it wasn't just me. Brandon and Kevin Hops as well. We all broke this stuff together. I think there's probably aspects of my own being a dad, being a son. But one thing that always used to bother me in the comics, for example, was sometimes the Dick Grayson Bruce Wayne relationship was sort of posited as adversarial, and that didn't make a lot of sense to me, to us actually. And we saw it. There's this key moment in the first season where Wonder Woman is talking to Batman, and she is sort of, calling him on the fact that he let Dick Grayson become Robin at age 9.
Which we may be seeing later.
Yeah.
Should I not talk about that?
Go. I'm just
So, it's that idea that, Batman says, Dick had to become Robin in order to get closure and catch the man who murdered his family. And Wonder Woman says, so that he'd turn out like you, and Batman says, so that he wouldn't.
Right.
Right.
And it's that idea that Batman doesn't want to create another him.
Right.
And then in terms of Superman, just the clip we just saw, I think the key thing is that everyone just kept telling Superman, you're this kid's father.
Yeah.
And that wasn't working for Superman because, he was cloned, he didn't even know he was cloned. But what you see in season 2 of the show is, at that point, they sort of have a reconciliation at the end of season 1, but in season 2 we see that their relationship is one of big brother and little brother, and that was something Superman could get his head around.
Right.
The idea of being older brother and mentor to this kid was something he could do. It was the whole concept of fatherhood against his will that was sort of creating this disconnect in his life.
Yeah.
But you know, our show specifically, since it was about these younger kids and their mentors, we had a lot of that. So you see Wally's parents, but you also see his relationship with the two older Flashes and the younger Impulse. You see Aqualad's relationship with Aquaman and Mira. And also in the comics, the companion comics we do, we also met his parents. And then, of course, big thing in season 2 was his relationship with his biological father, Black Manta. So that whole parenting thing was a huge aspect of our show.
Yeah, and to some degree, I think Justin was even a bit of a parent, I think, for our show.
Absolutely.
Just watching the clip, the title sequence again, kind of reminded me, I think when we first sat down and started talking about Young Justice and how we were going to make it, I remember
being afraid, very afraid.
because of the big shoes we were having to follow after Susan and Kevin's their great work on that. How do you follow that? That's really
You can't.
Debate's over.
Okay, now it's time for topic number 2.
Topic number 2.
Topic number 2. Do we all start?
Battles, big and small.
Here goes videotape.
I have evolved far beyond what I was when we last met. You do not want to challenge me. Line them up!
It's great we're finally spending a little quality time together. Karen?
Sorry, I'm a little preoccupied with the second moon in the sky. Good job. Surround them and close in.
Hold on a second. They're right under it!
Doc calls it the fog, comprised of millions of microscopic robots. Nanotech infiltrators, capable of disintegrating anything in their path. Concrete, steel, flesh, bone. But its true purpose isn't mere destruction. It's theft. The infiltrators even store raw data from any computer system and deliver the stolen intel to the shadows.
All right. And now, personally, I think just the new moon is like, holy crap. Like, that's why I cut it right there, because I'm like, done.
No, our point with that was just that both shows had these enormous, big storylines with big scaled threats, but each show had a very unique POV. I mean, JLU was very much Watchtower up above. We're walking among the Pantheon, whereas Young Justice never loses its footing on the ground. These are people looking up.
Well, I think that we're always looking up at Justice League as well. Even in the first few minutes of Young Justice, in that when we go to the Hall of Justice, you know, and it's like yeah, we're excited, and we were excited to walk in there and see it for the first time, and then you walk in and you see those statues of you know, those like 10-foot tall statues of the original Justice League, and it's like you know what? Yeah, we're excited, but oh my God. You know, what are we walking into? You know, these are big shoes we're trying to fill. Literally. Have you seen Kevin's feet?
Now, there's a next topic, not to give anything away, but I think on this topic, Young Justice has a clear advantage. And this topic is relationships.
Happy New Year, Justice League.
Long time ago.
No kidding. Liking this team more every day.
Human customs still elude me.
Don't you ever wish you were down there?
I'm down there all I need to be.
Yes, but it's just a job to you. I'm talking about going down there and having some fun. Maybe with someone special. No. Go over the Batman. I might cut into your brooding time.
1. Dating within the team always leads to disaster. 2. You're a princess from a society of immortal warriors. I'm a rich kid with issues. 3. If my enemies knew I had someone special, they wouldn't rest until they'd gotten to me through her.
Next.
Dude, go for it. What are you doing?
I think this is maybe a chance for a redo on that scene, because you're both here.
I always love in that scene that somebody left just enough time after the point number 2 that they knew somebody at home would just be laughing before kicking into the next tune. And what's fun about Susan Eisenberg is when you talk to her about Justice League and her co-workers, there's Kevin Conroy. Oh, I had such a crush on Kevin Conroy. Martian Manhunter. Oh, I love every one of them she adored.
I do. It's genuine. I mean, have you met Michael? Have you met Kevin?
Yeah.
Have you met Carl? There's no man lovelier on the planet and on other planets. He's divine. But I thought what was great about Justice League, if I may, was that we always hinted. It was always hinted at the relationship between Batman and Wonder Woman, and we didn't have any make-out scenes or anything like that, unfortunately. But you know, we had kisses on the cheek, and we had dances, and we had flirtation, and that kind of drove the series for years and years and years. And to this day, and it's been a while, fans still talk about that relationship, as do I. Because I loved it. I loved it.
Well, what I love about just watching the clips of Justice League, it's incredible how you did those shows so long ago, and yet right, you put them on right now, and I'm literally riveted. Yeah, every frame is so classically. It's timeless. You're not sure when or what kind of world that was in. It's its own time, and if you played it right now, it's like you're immediately sucked in.
Yeah, they do look fresh. They always look fresh.
Look so good.
I saw Mask of the Phantasm recently, and it looks so new. It looks like it's such a recent creation.
Yeah.
One of the things I like about Young Justice,
Yes.
If I may, is that we did have makeout sessions.
Yes.
Multiple, literally several times. I've told this story before, but I'll just be really brief. Okay, no, I won't. Is that in the interest of realism, one of the things that they wanted us to accomplish with the relationship between Artemis and Wally is the complication when you hate somebody, but yet you are hot for them and you love them. And it just comes from them annoying you from the very first moment. So one of the things I really appreciate about Greg and Brandon's storytelling is from a realistic point of view in life, our opposites attract. And that was the thing that kept Artemis and Wally's bond so strong once it became real, was that they first met each other, they could not stand each other.
And actually, Stephanie still can't stand Jason.
She's a method actress. Can't blame her. And the complications of those relationships, the intricacies of it, and that makes it so much more potent when it gets ripped away at the end, or because these
Well, I thought you were going to tell a story about the fact that Brandon and Greg made us all kiss. Actually,
yes,
kiss.
I kissed Kari many times.
Oh yeah.
Oh wait, that's not what I'm talking
No.
about. Okay.
That's after the recording.
Right.
Yeah, no, I'm talking. But they're like, you know what? You're when you're kissing your hand, that just doesn't sound right. You know what? You better go over there and actually.
No, I remember when Nolan North was practicing, kissing himself and just
didn't work.
doing it.
And actually, I've never seen Nolan turn red faster or run out of the room faster than having to kiss Danica. And Danica was like 8 months pregnant, and he was just like, this just feels weird. I mean, we're like brothers and sisters, and because very quickly we kiss you. And Nolan, he's the most assertive wit you
Absolutely.
ever met.
Nothing phases that man. Step forward, kissing pregnant lady.
Ran out of the room.
Which is kind of the opposite of my experience, where they said, now Jason, move over towards Stephanie's mic. I was like, oh, okay.
Stephanie's real cute.
Yeah.
But that's really a tribute to the writers.
It is. that they can write make-out sessions all they want.
Make-out sessions.
No, but relationships being complicated and real.
It's all about the writers.
I think is what makes this possible. As an actor, when you have just a few lines to put an unspoken relationship like they have, you only have a few lines to make that unspoken relationship. It's a testament to how good the writing is that that's palpable and that's real.
But the audience invests a lot of that energy and attention into the actors, into us, but it's really about the writers.
Yeah.
We're just, giving voice to what they created. And the writing for both of these shows was just so incredible. These characters were so complicated. Batman is such a complicated guy. He's got so many issues. It gave me so much to play. And it's just, great writing, great storytelling.
Kevin, do you have anything you want to talk about regarding the relationship between Wonder Woman and Batman?
I can't do it on a microphone.
Well, speaking of play, work-life balance is the subject of our next topic.
All right, here goes videotape.
Hello, Megan. We should hit the beach every day.
First, a moment of silence for absent comrade.
Poor Wally.
Welcome, class, to the first day of sophomore year.
And it's here. And now I'm blue. You be too. If each plan that you had done come through, there was a time.
Hold on. Everybody just be quiet. I just want to hear it. Just give us one. Nobody say anything.
There was a time I was her only one, but now I'm the sad and lonely one, only one.
But to be fair to the rules of the debate, I have to point out that Batman was actually working in that clip. So advantage shown justice.
This was a karaoke time.
Hey, it doesn't matter. Dad, every one of you can say you were here.
Which side are you on?
I had to switch because of him.
Dad.
why was there no, was there a singing episode in your mind for, I'm not going to say that word. No, leave it alone.
Please let there be singing again.
Greg Weissman, would you ever do a
lot
singing
about
episode
doing,
or something?
Justice League, the musical?
episode, but after Brave and the Bold did the episode that you guys just watched, the panel before this, it felt like we couldn't touch it.
You know, it just needs to be all hip hop. It'll be all right.
That's right. All right. You know, hell with it. I'm going to say it. Netflix is making Young Justice.
But we did put a couple of songs.
Oh, you didn't even hear me, did you?
Yeah, I know.
Did Gary just lose the debate?
Now, here's the bottom line, guys. Here's the bottom line about Young Justice going forward. It just reminds me of it's the perfect show to find its own way. Because I think it was like when Young Justice first started, and the Justice League said, you know what, guys, you guys got together and did something on your own, and we're not cool with that. You guys need to chill out. And I think Aqualad said, I'm sorry, but no. We did good work here. Work that is important, powerful. And then Superboy said, why do we let them tell us what to do? Get on board or get out of the way. And I believe there's a train, and all of you on it. So stay on that train and keep making Young Justice.
Keep watching, keep buying.
All right, so what's the next topic that I can kill myself on?
This one is teamwork.
Teamwork is work, or is it?
We'll catch up later.
Wouldn't miss it. First things first.
Still, you refer to us as children. This is not. You consistently underestimate us.
You guys like working on teams?
Well, for Batman, it's unusual because he's such a loner, and to be part of a group of 7. The real challenge, I think, was for the writers to keep each character individual and unique, and write these stories for all these complicated characters and keep them all involved in the action throughout a series, so you would get woven in and out of these storylines. And my character is such a loner that he'd usually be acting alone, coming in at the beginning, coming out, to save the day at the end or something like that. But then he'd have these unique relationships, like with Wonder Woman. I'm fascinated with how the writers kept all this in their heads, that all these different characters,
The thing actually, I appreciate all the credit to the writers. The thing that impressed me there was the choreography and the storyboard. Because it's easy for a writer to say, and then they fight. But then, you know, we did try in the scripts to break it down in a little more detail than that. But still, you know, just impressive job by the storyboard artist and the director of those episodes. And then really, someone I really want to give a lot of credit to is Joe Reyes, who's our editor on the show, because the pacing of that, so much of it comes out in those final steps of the editing and then the sound mix. A lot of credit to Joe and to Carlos, Sanchez, who was our sound mixer, and because a lot of what makes that pop is that kind of tempo and pace and real movement on all those characters.
It's the teamwork on our side to get the teamwork on the screen.
Yeah. Well, and there's this thing about Batman that makes everything he does that much cooler is that he never starts by yelling at you. It's almost like he gets quieter.
Hold that thought.
It's like we talked about this beforehand.
Hey, nice to meet you. All right, here we go. One more. This is the last one. I know.
What'd you get him?
I'm not saying anything. He'll hear and spoil the surprise.
He can hear that, too.
How about you?
He's not the easiest person in the world to buy birthday presents for.
Bruce, you didn't get him a gift certificate.
No. Cash.
Plastic man. I don't know. The guy's got a pretty substantial criminal record.
Sorry. The guy just cracks me up.
Maybe it's time we all talked about the elephant in the room. Should Captain Marvel stay a member, now that we know he's really only 10 years old?
He does possess an adult body and the wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom does not equal maturity.
Hey, I'm sitting right here.
Then, Billy, maybe you should leave until we've hashed this out.
No. Captain Marvel is a member and is entitled to participate until or unless he's voted out.
It's not just his age. It's the fact that he lied about it.
I didn't lie. Exactly. I just left out the part about being a kid.
A lie of omission is still a lie. You kept an important secret from us. No one in the League knew the truth.
I did.
Since you indoctrinated Robin into crime fighting at the ripe old age of 9.
Robin needed to help bring the men who murdered his family to justice.
So he could turn out like you?
So that he wouldn't.
Cash. Never mind, anyone a present again.
Batman says give cash.
I don't know what the topic is.
Yeah.
What is the topic?
That was just a trick to watch more of this good stuff.
That's pretty well it, and the topic is we got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and we might even want questions from the audience. Anybody want to ask a question? Guys, if you ask a really good question, we do have Justice League on Blu-ray, Young Justice on Blu-ray, Justice League Unlimited on Blu-ray. There'd be a good question.
Naked versus.
Guys, we already know you love them and you're here for it, so you don't need the compliment. We already have the compliment of 1,000 people here. Just get to the question and let somebody else get theirs.
That's all right, I can hear you. Go, buddy.
Yell out.
The microphone isn't working up here.
Okay, well, my question
Man's coming up to fix it. We'll repeat it.
My question is for Kevin Conroy.
Okay.
I was going to tell you how much you meant to me and everything like that.
Oh, no.
It's actually my birthday and anniversary. I came all the way from San Francisco to come see you. My wife let me because she knows how much you mean to me.
Wow.
So my question to you is, because I follow you through all your panels on YouTube and everything like that. So any question I had, you have already answered for me. So my question to you is, actually I have two. One, Will you sign my merchandise, please? And two, thanks. What question have you always wanted to be asked from a fan that they didn't? Because you answered all my questions already, so I want to know, what question did you want somebody to ask you?
Wow.
How would you like to have $1 million?
Billion.
I think the biggest question for Batman is why he's resonated for so long. Why that character means so much to so many people. I mean, I had a young woman come up to me, I've told this story before, at Chicago Comic-Con, who said, I've always wanted to meet you, and she started getting very emotional. And she said, I grew up in the projects, and I'm the only one of my friends that made it out of there. And it was because of you. And I said, wait a minute. She says, no, seriously. I had your show every afternoon. I came home from school, and the other kids were getting into trouble. I had your show. And you babysat me every afternoon, and I learned so much from you. And I ended up getting a scholarship to go to college, and now I'm a professional, I'm out of there. I said, wait a minute. First of all, thank you.
Thank you.
But more important, you got you out of there.
Yeah.
You know, you're responsible for getting you out of there. And I said, and God bless you for doing it, you know what I mean? But the power of animation to teach lessons and to reach young hearts and minds is so powerful. And I think Batman's character, that he overcame such pain in youth, and that he took that pain and he turned it into something positive, is the message of Batman. Is that nothing can crush you. You can't let anything crush you. You have to turn it around, and rather than letting it become evil, you turn it into something good. You do something good with your life. And that's what that young woman did. And that, to me, is the power of animation, what it can do. Meet me at first. Yeah. What's your name?
Nev.
N-E-V?
N-E-V. That was Nev, ladies and gentlemen. A shorter question, and don't try and subvert any of the rules.
So my question is for Kevin and Susan. Is there any, if you could, is there any comic book storyline that you would love to voice in the future for Batman or Wonder Woman? Any?
Well, I just had the dream come through of doing the storyline that we all want to hear. And I think you know what that is. And it'll be coming out. It's phenomenal. The Killing Joke.
You know, I think anytime I can do something with Hippolyta, you know, and explores that relationship with the mother and the daughter and Themyscira, those are some of my favorite things to do. If I'm not going to be with the League and these guys, then bring me back to Themyscira, bring me back to Hippolyta, and let me have some of that to play with, because that stuff's phenomenal.
Next question.
This was for Susan and Kevin. If the relationship did evolve, how would you see Diana introducing Bruce to Hippolyta? And thank you for answering on Twitter all the time, Susan.
And pretend I'm not here listening.
Why don't we do the scene? Introduce Batman.
You know, the truth is, I don't see her bringing him home to Themyscira. And what I loved about the show, you know, in all honesty, I loved that they just left it at a flirtation. And they didn't take it to another level, because I don't think anyone wants to see Wonder Woman and Bruce be domesticated. No. You know, and so I think it's exciting and fun to play when you keep it flirty. Will they, won't, it's like will they, won't they?
You're absolutely right.
And so I don't see her bringing him home and introducing him.
What about his friends? Then it's like awkward.
No, but Batman's wound it has to remain open.
Yeah.
He can't be resolved that way. Because it's trying to resolve that makes him do so much good. That's his whole modus So he can't have resolution.
Right, so we're never going to be Superman and Lois. You know, that's just
Exactly.
never going to be
Not gonna
us.
Worth a shot.
That was a good question.
Great question. But great question, thank you.
And so Wonder Woman, I actually cosplay Wonder Woman from that particular show. And my question is, did you come up with the inspiration to voice the character? Like, how do you portray her? Because she, like Batman, has a lot of different sides to her. It's like keeping the regal, but powerful, but loving and protective all at the same time.
Right, but like Kevin said earlier, there were scripts, so, you know, it wasn't me standing
In your voice.
You know, there was a voice director.
Who was that?
Andrea Romano.
You're being humble. You're being humble. Because, no, it's also the actor is we're the culmination of our whole lives. You know, you are your instrument. You are what you bring. The reason you got it over to someone else is because of those qualities that you bring to it, the way you interpret the character. And that's, you know, you can't. No, it's true. And there's this sort of sensualized quality to it. But it's powerful. Sexy. Audience is like that.
That's what we got to play with. I mean, that's the voice I had to play with. He's my Batman. He always will be. But Andrea Romano, really, I mean, she calibrated the performance. If I was getting too princess-like, she'd be like, warrior, you're a warrior.
Yeah,
bring the strength. You have to. And I remember my audition and being told, you know, you have to remember that she's regal, but she's powerful, and you can't lose either one ever. And so when I would, if I would, she was always there to say, Susan, you're losing this, or you're losing that, or bring this, or bring that. Always. Thank you.
So just a quick comment and a question. Quick comment, Mr. Baton, I've been a fan since ping pong played.
Nice.
And for Mr. Conroy, just the question is, what episode was the most fun to play the Batman character?
Perchance to Dream is a great episode, and Dreamscape, both of those are great. In I think it was Perchance to Dream. I get them mixed up. I got to do I got to do Batman and Bruce Wayne, and then young Bruce Wayne, and then Batman drugged, and then Thomas Wayne Sr. in his fantasy. So I was doing 5 voices. And I said to Andrea as we were doing it, I said, because he's been drugged, and he goes into his past, and all these fantasies come through, and I was doing all these voices. So they all had to be believably distinct, but believably related. You know what I mean? And they all have to be distinct. I said to Andrea, you know, it'd be really fun. Let's do it in real time. Instead of doing all one voice and all the other voice and all the next voice, let me play the scenes with myself. And we did it! But then we did as a safety, afterwards we did each character fully through. So they'd be sure to have, you know, each voice distinct. But it was so much fun to act, to just be involved in.
Thank you. Sure. Hey, it looks like the Justice League is decidedly ready to debate. Do we have any Young Justice questions? Good morning. All right.
No, are you kidding? I'm having a time of my
We love this. This is awesome.
Okay, for that we're going to go a little longer than we're supposed to, so because we own the room. So.
Hi, big fan, obviously. Thank you for being here. So I have a question for all the voice actors. I know there's been a lot of credit given to the writers and the skill that they have to bring these characters to life. But was there ever a time where you looked at the script and you went, I don't think Batman would say this exactly, or I don't think Wonder Woman would say it in this way? Was there ever a time where there was like just a disagreement in the direction the characters are going or the lines? Or
Personally,
yeah.
My perspective, I think there was once that I was asked, said, look, what would, we just can't figure out what you're going, because when you work with, mostly I work with Bruce Timm and Paul Dini, you don't change a comma. You don't change anything. They're like, that's not what I wrote. Because writers have, actors are known for having egos. You know who really has big egos? Writer.
Now, honestly, I'm no.
I have a huge effing ego.
Now, honestly, I'm really bad about not sticking to the script, but in a lot of my work, but not in Young Justice. I think there may have been one line here or there that I went to Greg before we started recording, and I would say, I feel like there's a different quality that's coming from Aqualad at this moment, but his scripts are so intricate and so well thought out. The line that you're saying in this record today for episode 4 is going to affect what's happening in episode 17.
Right.
And if you change that line, it's like you're changing Greg's life. Because literally it's like the outline is destroyed. And so I don't do it so much in Young Justice.
The writers are usually thinking a few steps ahead.
Yeah, and you have to
can't change stuff.
Yeah, you have to trust that. I mean, having done Shakespeare and things like that, you think
You've done Shakespeare.
Oh yes, my brother.
Are you a real actor?
No. I just do it by myself in my living room.
I've even changed Shakespeare.
Yeah.
I changed Shakespeare like I think it was all's well that ends well. I was like, nobody knows this. I'm just gonna change this.
But there was one
I was in a show where whenever you go up on stage, the acting company, the Juilliard group, it was a Shakespeare company.
Yeah.
But occasionally you go up, and when you go up in a contemporary play, you can improvise. What do you do with Shakespeare? So we all had a line we came up with. The hounds of winter are on summer's traces. That meant that you didn't know what the fuck. So every now and then you'd be in the middle of like Richard III, you'd hear, the hounds of, and you'd feel everyone on stage go, ugh! Because they know the guy.
There was only one time in Young Justice that I came to Greg and Brandon and I said, do you really think he has to die?
By the way, he just lied. He came up to me.
I was so grateful.
He came up to me and thanked me for that scene.
I did.
Yeah. No, actually, the only time I remember freaking out, and it's only calling or texting Greg when some twist happened that even I didn't see coming. And like when Artemis and Aqualad had their, or Calder, I guess, at that point, had a time where they met in season 2, that didn't work out well, seemingly for Artemis. And and I just threw my script down and I immediately texted Greg, and all I got back was, keep breathing.
I would just, what Kevin said about the writers, and you didn't change things, and oftentimes a lot of the scripts I did were Dwayne McDuffie's scripts. And Dwayne would be on the other side of the glass. I'd be in the booth and he'd be outside, and the things he'd make me do, and especially the physical stuff, it was so grueling. I mean, it sounds weird because you're not doing it, but you are a little bit for the fighting scenes and the picking yourself up and dragging and all of that. And I would just look at Dwayne and be like, really? Really? And he would just smile, like, you just keep doing it, just keep doing it. And so there was that, and also once in a while I wanted the funny line. Like I wanted his lines, and because he would just give that zinger, and to this day, he gets all the laughs. It's so funny because, he's not like Flash who's trying to get the laughs. It's a quiet thing with him, which is why it lands so beautifully. And once in a while, because Wonder Woman was quite serious, there was a part of me that wanted to just get a couple of laughs off, but, maybe the sequel.
Yes, sir.
We put Suicide Squad in Young Justice.
I'm gonna make a note of that right now. We're gonna get on that, son. Thank you for your contribution.
Okay, this one, it kind of works as a debate type question. One of the things that was interesting with both Young Justice and with Justice League is that at a certain point, the rosters, initially there was a set number of members in the group, and then suddenly when you move into a new season or a different set of seasons, the roster expands. Like you go from Justice League to Justice League Unlimited, and you go from Young Justice Season 1 to Young Justice Season 2. Primarily for Brandon and Greg, but also for all the actors, what was the process like in trying to develop an expanded roster cast of these teams that you're working with, and how do you, what's the dynamic that you have to sort of reinvent in order to accommodate this change in direction?
That is tricky. I mean, we had the whole DC universe to pick from, and we were starting at zero. I mean, we were kind of trying to tell a story that shows the growth of superheroes in the DC world. So we started very small, and we had many conversations about who we wanted, right? Because we had, of course, our own special wants that we wanted in the show. But an interesting thing that Greg did at the very beginning, he built a timeline of the DC universe. And he had like birthdays and sometimes death days for a lot of the characters. Spread out all throughout. And what that helped give us though was like a map of when characters could appear. You know, so we have a lot of discussions about the generations and when, you know, their ages, because we were very particular about dates in the show. And, you know, it kind of, having a timeline to begin with, made some of those decisions for us.
Also, they're both crazy. I think they just got addicted to introducing another character. It was like sometimes there were so many people in the booth you couldn't get near a microphone. it was absolutely nuts. They're literally curved around, and not a small studio that we were working in, but literally curved around to the point that the directors couldn't see some of the voice actors through the window. It was amazing.
Towards the end, we had to record in ships.
Yeah. But it's amazing how succinct the storytelling was, and yet incorporating so many characters into the storyline. Honestly, because in the second season, Calder's gone for several episodes, and it's an awesome reason. But I still wasn't happy about that coming into recording. You know, but it was the twists just really kind of drove my interest and continue to drive my interest, and just the tiny conversations that I've had with Brandon and Greg. There are more characters to come, I imagine.
And Bruce was really, for our show and becoming Justice League to Justice League Unlimited, Bruce Timm has talked extensively about how he welcomed that opportunity. I mean, you know, when they had done 2 seasons of Justice League and then it was presented, okay, you're going to be do you want to do this? And he jumped at the chance to incorporate more characters, and it was a fantasy for him to do that.
I think part of that comes out of just the need for stories. They run out of ideas for a finite number of characters, and introducing a new character introduces a whole new complication for interaction with the other characters.
I wasn't really worried about running out of stories. Even with the small cast, I mean, that's why in the companion comics we did, there were a lot more stories to tell, even in, that season 1 era, let alone the 5 years that took place in between the 2 seasons. But we did really want to show the growth of characters like Wally or Dick or Calder, and you can't do that over, we were more or less telling stories in real time. The first season is 6 months from July to January, and there's just a limit as to how much any character is going to grow in only 6 months. So by jumping 5 years, that allowed us to really show the growth of these characters. I mean, you see how much Wally's matured between season 1 and season 2. It's a pretty huge thing, but over 5 years you can believe that. And as Brandon said, because of those 5 years, there were certain characters that by that time you just felt, well, if we don't introduce them now, when will we? And one of the things that was a minor bummer for us actually is that the original plan, I don't know if you guys remember the wedding shower episode, where Raquel Rocket was having her bridal shower. And originally we had planned to put Donna Troy and Mary Bromwell in there too. And we just ran out of time because we would have had to design them both as Donna Troy and Mary in civilian clothes, and then also design them as Troy and Sergeant Marvel in their costumes. And that's 4 designs that we just did not have time to do. So they don't wind up in that episode. Because we didn't have time to do them for that episode, they also don't wind up in the season finale, which we had also planned on putting them in.
I don't think there's
Our
ever a
timeline
point
was-
where Greg is like running out of stories. He told me about going grocery shopping, and I've been riveted. I was like, that's where you bought the broccoli?
And the timelines all match up.
It's great. It's riveting. So it drives you nuts because I was like, just tell me what you bought, but he tells it in such an incredible way. You know, I cannot wait to see, what he's gonna get for breakfast.
Wait till we get to the eggplant.
We unfortunately have time for one more question. No pressure, make it a good one. They're not signing autographs, so please
The people on the next panel are getting mad because that's us.
Yes. So go ahead, drop your question. Let's make it a good one. No pressure.
So my question is about how to deal with the future generations of superheroes. So this question in particular is targeted towards Brandon and Greg, but anybody from the panel can answer. So as we saw in the clips, Batman and Wonder Woman have different perspectives on how to address the younger generation of superheroes, be it the Titans or Young Justice. So how does that reflect upon the younger generation? Like, how are they going to treat the next generation that's going to come after them?
Yeah, we kind of were able to touch on that in our second season. Our first season was definitely about parents did allow us to now put our first season freshmen, now they're seniors, and there's a new class of freshmen coming in beneath them. And how do they now take the reins as the mentors? And that was a lot of fun for us to explore that element of the DC universe. It's so great. There's so many great generations and stories about those generations in the DCU, and so that we could actually explore that in our second season was a lot of fun.
Well, the crux of Young Justice, from the very beginning, is that kids don't stay kids forever. They're going to grow up and they're going to do what they're going to do. And you can either help them become the people they want to be, or you can try and stop them. And one works and one doesn't. And that's kind of a beautiful thing to base a long-running story on, I think.
And in the Batman universe, I think Batman Beyond was what that was about. Him passing on the mantle to young Terry McGinnis, and that father-son relationship that evolved out of that. It's an interesting question.
Yeah, and
Great question.
one of my favorite episodes when I read it was the episode with all the different Flashes in Young Justice, where we had Golden Age Flash, we had Kid Flash, and we had Impulse, and it was such an enjoyable thing to read about how everybody has their perspective on what it's like to be a hero. And that perspective changes, based on what your life is like at the time and how old you are. And we're all in our lives, a hero to someone at some point in our lives. And, if we're a father or mother, we're a hero to our children. And if we're young, we could be a hero to our friends because we're saving them. So I really enjoyed seeing the speedsters at all their different levels of what it's like to be a hero. And I think that's a universal message, that it doesn't matter how old you are or what point of your life you are, you still can be a hero to someone.
quick reminder, you stay through the next panel, which is Golden Harvest, and you'll have done all 3 with Warner Archive. There will be special prizes.
Hong Kong movies from the 90s.
That's
You like that? You like Hong Kong, Golden Harvest, I'm a hung, stick around.
Oh, yeah.
But in the meantime, these folks aren't signing autographs, so don't rush the stage. See those guys in blue and everything? They'll stop you. In the meantime, show your appreciation there for Brandon Kennedy, Jason Spiza,